Okay, hello everyone. Ang lecture natin ngayon tungkol sa developmental psychology. We will talk about the emotional development in adolescence. Marami akong mga DevPsych concepts na may hit dito, so I highly encourage na sana panoorin nyo to from start to finish. Ito yung simple outline natin for this lecture. I'm going to talk about the basics of human emotions. And number 2, pag-uusapan natin how does an adolescent experience emotions. Kasi the way an adolescent experiences emotions unique compared to other developmental stages. Pag-uusapan natin yung uniqueness na yan. Let's start with number 1, the basics of human emotions. Okay? So ano ba tong mga basics na to na dapat alam natin about how emotions work? Number 1, dapat alam natin that a person's emotional life, kahit ano pang developmental stage mo, is very important. This is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, kasi mahalaga to because this is a key to social success. Kapag maganda ang pag-handle mo ng emotions mo, pwede makakontribute yan sa success mo in your everyday life. Like for example, ang pinaka-researcher dito, si Daniel Goleman. Sabi ni Daniel Goleman, kapag maganda ang EQ mo, emotional intelligence, which is an indicator na maganda ang pag-handle mo ng emotions mo, it can predict your overall life success. Nagiging maganda yung relationships mo with other people, nagiging maganda yung pakikitungo mo with your workmates, nagiging positive yung relationships mo with your classmates, so on and so forth. And all this are good things. Papataasin ng mga yan yung quality of life mo. And to be more specific, this also includes success in friendships. Pag maganda ang EQ mo, nagiging maganda ang connection mo with your friends, nakaka-contribute sa well-being mo. Even some studies have shown, kapag maganda EQ, nagiging successful ang marriage and vice versa. Ang mga taong hindi nagiging successful ang marriage or intimate relationships, break ng break, hiwalay ng hiwalay, hindi nagtatagal ang marriage, one of the predictors, mababa ang level of EQ. And most importantly, I want to emphasize on this, kapag maganda ang EQ mo, it's a predictive factor saan? Adolescents' mental health. Ang mga teenagers na magaganda ang EQ, most likely maganda ang mental health ng mga yan, hindi sila masyadong nadidepress, kayang-kaya nila i-handle ang mga negative emotions such as neuroticism, anxiety, and depression. Ganyan kahalaga na dapat ang teenager maganda ang pag-handle ng emotional life niya. Another reason bakit mahalaga ang emotional life is it is very connected to physical health. The simple principle to remember here is kapag lagi ka nafe-feel bad, such as sadness and worry, hindi nagiging maganda yung health mo because of the increase in cortisol. Kasi kapag mataas ang negative emotions, tumataas ang level of cortisol, at kapag masyadong mataas yan, it becomes toxic to the body. So high levels of cortisol, papahinain niya yung immune system mo, which makes you prone to a number of illnesses. Kaya sa eskwelahan, kapag midterms, kapag finals, marami mga estudyante may sakit kasi mataas ang cortisol level, nako-compromise ang immune system, kaya sila nagkakasakit. So it starts with negative emotions. On the other hand, kapag maganda naman, feel good ka, positive emotions yung nararanasan mo, good hormones appear in your body. So itong mga dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin, ito ngayon yung bumabiyahe sa bloodstreams mo. And when that happens, nakakaganda naman yan ng physical health. So given that idea, that negative emotions make your health bad, positive emotions make your health good, ang ibig sabihin ba nito, we should always teach adolescents to always feel good. Lalong-lalo na ito yung isa sa mga tinuturo ng self-love movement or popular psychology, 'di ba? I-prioritize mo raw yung kaligayahan mo. You only do the things that will make you happy. Bakit daw? You deserve to be happy. Parang tama, Kasi kung i-connect mo yan dito sa principle na to, when you feel good, lumalabas ang mga good hormones, it's good for your body. Pero ako as a psychology teacher, I would not recommend that teenagers should believe or apply this teaching. Kasi napaka unrealistic when you, and even dangerous when you teach a teenager to do everything na mapapa-feel good sa kanya. Kasi most of the time, yung mga bagay na ginagawa natin to make us feel good, nakakasama naman sa ibang tao or nakakasama sa katawan natin. Let's take for example, substance abuse. Kapag ito yung tinuro mo sa adolescent, you deserve to be happy, malungkot siya, pero gawin mo lahat para maging masaya ka, nag-drugs para makalimutan niya yung kalungkutan niya. Pasok naman yun sa definition ng you deserve to be happy. Pinasaya mo yung sarili mo, yun nga lang, the way you did that, illegal. Diba? So, ako, again, going back to this issue, hindi ko nire-recommend that parents or even the media teach adolescents to always feel good about themselves para lang maging maganda yung physical health. Ang magandang gawin dito is ipa-realize natin sa mga teenagers that there are times it is okay to feel bad. Yan ang problema sa media. Parang masyadong dinidemonize yung negative emotions, masyado namang ang matawag doon, masyado nating ino-overemphasize yung feeling good. Para sa akin, imbis na turuan natin yung teenager to always feel good, ang magandang gawin character development. Let's teach them how to handle negative emotions. Yan ang mas realistic. Kasi sa totoo lang, hindi naman talaga posible na you always feel good in your everyday life. Lagi may problema. Magkakaroon ka ng utang, hindi mo mabayaran. Babagsak ka sa exam. Ano pa ba? Mag-undergo ka ng breakup. You will face the death of a loved one. Magkakaroon ka ng aksidente. It's a very cruel world out there. So yun ang dapat ituro sa mga young people. It's a cruel world out there, but hindi ibig sabihin nun, wala na tayong pwedeng magawa, pwede nating pag-aralan how to handle those negative emotions. Yan ang dapat ituro. Character development, more than teaching them to always feel good. This is unrealistic, this is more realistic. Kaya sabi nga ng isang quotable quote, no? Tama to, I agree. Our ability to handle life's challenges is a measure of our strength of character. Yan ang dapat nating ituro, character development. Hindi yung papa-feel good mo lagi yung sarili mo. And I think this is where I can connect the concept of spirituality in adolescence. Kaya mahalaga yan eh. Unfortunately today, spirituality is very underemphasized. Corny daw ang spirituality. Hindi na raw mahalaga ang spirituality. Old school na raw yan. Hindi na raw uso yan. I beg to disagree. Kasi kapag ang adolescent, tinuruan mo ng spirituality, isa sa mga skills, psychological skills na matututunan niya is what? Character development. Like for example, when I talk about Christian spirituality, talagang yan ang ituturo sa'yo that in this world, you will face trouble. Because we are living in a fallen world. Yung mundo nating punong-puno ng kasalanan. So we expect a lot of bad things to happen to us. Jesus said that. Diba? If I'm gonna read this, in this world you will have trouble, pero take heart. Yung words na take heart, that's a psychological skill na pwede mong matutunan. How to have courage kahit maraming masamang nangyayari sa paligid mo. Diba? Mas magandang katuruan yan compared to takasan mo yung negative emotions, sambahin mo yung positive emotions. Another example, how spirituality can enhance a healthy EQ would be yung tinuro ni James. In the book of James, what does he say? Consider it pure joy kapag may mga trials ka. Bakit mo i-consider na pure joy yon? Because these trials will give you an opportunity to strengthen your character. Consider it pure joy when you encounter trials of many kinds because this will develop your character. So kapag yan yung tinuro mo sa teenager, mas maganda. Na tuwing meron siya pinagdaraanan, hindi masyadong mabigat sa loob niya yung pinagdaraanan niya kasi alam niya merong meaning, may purpose yung pinagdaraanan niya. And that is to improve his or her character. Mas maganda yon kaysa again, turuan mo yung teenager na takasan yung negative emotions at sambahin ang positive emotions. Alright? So yun yung unang dapat alam natin about emotions. Again, ulitin ko, baka nalimutan nyo na, our emotional life. The way we handle our emotions is very important. Number 2, dapat nating tandaan that emotional experience is tied to biology. The reason why nakaka-experience tayo ng mga emotions this way kasi may kinalaman ang katawan natin dyan. One concept to remember in connection to this, temperament, from the word temper. Diyan nang galing yung mga salitang hot-tempered, cold-tempered. Anong ibig sabihin ng temper? This is a person's ability to manage or to react to certain events in everyday life. So, paano mo kinokontrol yung mga nararamdaman mo, lungkot, inis, galit, at paano ka mag-react? Paano mo nilalabas yung mga emotions mo when you encounter certain situations? Yun yung temperament mo. And according to studies, our temperament is tied to nervous system, to our nervous system. So, yung kalidad o yung klase ng emotions na nararanasan natin, depende yan kung paano na-program yung nervous system natin, yung mga nerves natin. And this happened in utero. Wala tayong control dyan. Hindi natin pinili na gusto natin yung nervous system natin ganito or ganon. When the sperm meets the egg inside our mother's womb, nandoon na yung program na magde-determine kung anong klaseng nervous system ang meron tayo, which will determine how we experience certain emotions. Actually, itong temperament na to, maaamoy mo na raw yan, infancy pa lang. You can already sense a person's temper during infancy. Specifically, ito yung sikat na research ni Thomas and Chess. They observed thousands of infants in different hospitals, and then based on their observation, in connection to how these babies handle their emotions, pwede mo raw i-categorize ang mga babies na yan into 3. In connection to how they handle their emotions or in terms of their temperament. May 3 grupo raw ng mga babies when it comes to temperament. May mga babies na easy children, merong mga difficult children, merong mga slow to warm up children. So, basahin nyo na lang. Yan. And the thing is, etong temper na to, whatever you have, kung ano man yung type of temper ang meron ka, this will determine how we experience certain emotions in the lifespan. It starts here. Dito yung starting point. Like for example, in connection to temper, that explains why may mga tao talaga mainitin ng ulo. May mga tao na palatawa. May mga tao na mabilis malungkot. Kahit anong pasaya mo, kahit anong positive experience, malungkot pa rin sila. At may mga tao talaga na likas na mahiyain. Ang bilis-bilis nila ma-socially anxious. Basta maraming tao, maraming nakatingin sa kanila, na anxious na sila, hindi nila mapigilan. Nagigets nyo na, bakit ganyan? Bakit may mga tao ganyan? Hindi nila mapigilan. Ang lakas-lakas ng ganyang emotional experience nila because again, these are anchored. Nakakabit yan sa temperament nila. Ganyan na talaga ang programming ng nervous system natin ever since we were born into this world. Maliwanag. So yan ang role ng katawan natin, specifically ng nervous system natin in determining how we experience certain emotions. Add to that, according to studies, yung temperament natin ng mga babies pa tayo, ito, is a very strong predictor of our temperament by the time we reach adolescence. Ibig sabihin, mahirap siyang baguhin. Ganun siya ka-natural sa atin. Our temperament when we were younger, when we were babies, hanggang dumating yung adolescence natin, most likely, ganun pa rin tayo. So, yung temper mo nung 0 years old ka, most likely, ganun pa rin yung temper mo kapag 13 ka na. Pinanganak kang mainitin ng ulo, magiging teenager ka na mainitin ng ulo. Pinanganak kang mahiyain, most likely, magiging teenager ka na mahiyain ka rin. Gets nyo? Kaya, I want to focus here on the difficult children and the slow to warm up children. Ano ngayon ang implication yan? Ang implication ngayon yan is kailangan talaga natin ispatan yung mga babies na merong ganitong temperament, yung difficult and slow to warm up. Bakit natin sila iispatan? Kasi sila ngayon yung tututukan natin, natuturuan natin ng certain emotional skills. Dapat, tinuturuan na natin sila ng emotional skills even before they reach adolescence. Dahil alam natin sila yung prone sa marami mga negative emotions. Kasi nga, difficult sila eh. Slow to warm up sila eh. Sila yung prone sa neuroticism. Sila yung prone sa anxiety. Sila yung prone sa out of control anger. So anong gagawin natin? Dahil alam na natin ganyan ang temper nila, mga bata pa sila, turuan na kaagad ng emotional skills. Diyan nagkakamali yung maraming parents or teachers. Akala nila yung emotional skills, ituturo lang yan by the time adolescent na yung bata, that's already late. Kasi it takes time, it takes repetition before you learn certain emotional skills. Diba? Dapat paulit-ulit mong pinapractice yung self-control, paulit-ulit mong pinapractice yung cognitive reframing. You get what I mean? So, younger years pa lang, before reaching adolescence, tinuturuan na dapat ng emotional skills. Lalong-lalo na kapag hindi ganun kaganda yung temperament profile ng bata. Yan. Kaya kapag naspatan mo na yung anak mo, difficult na or slow to warm up na, bata pa lang, sila dapat yung tutukan. Para pag pasok nila ng adolescence, they already have the necessary emotional skills to handle difficult emotions. Number 3, we have to remember that emotional experience is also learned. Sabi sa number 2, may biological component yung emotions natin, pero ang good news, meron ding aspeto ng emotion natin ang kaya nating matutunan from the environment. Specifically from our culture. In DevPsych, meron tayong konsepto na ang tawag emotional display rules. Anong ibig sabihin yan? The emotions that we experience are universal. Lahat ng tao nakakaranas ng saya, nakakaranas ng lungkot, nakakaranas ng galit. As you can see here on the screen. So, the tendency to feel these emotions, it's universal because again, it's biological. Nasa nervous system na natin that we experience these basic emotions. Pero, the way we express these emotions, iba-iba. In different cultures. Iba mag-express ng happiness ang mga Chinese kumpara sa mga Pilipino. Iba mag-experience o mag-express ng anger ang mga Italians compared to the Americans. You get the point. Doon na ngayon papasok yung cultural aspect of emotions. Although we feel certain emotions universally because it's biological, the way we express it can be cultural. At ang laki ng implication yan in healthy emotional development. Because emotions can be shaped by outside forces, because we can learn certain ways on how to express emotions from the environment. Number 1, enhancing emotional intelligence works. Kasi kapag ang emotions pwede mong matutunan, ibig sabihin pwede mo siyang ituro. Kung ang isang tao may difficulty in handling negative emotions, pwede mo siyang turuan how to better handle those negative emotions. Kaya number 2, in connection to number 1, no? Ang implication pa niyan, ang mental health pala pwedeng ituro, pwedeng matutunan. Kasi kapag nag-stop ka lang doon sa ang temperament mo is biology, balik tayo, pwedeng magkaroon ka ng maling conclusion na ang mental health mo wala sa kamay mo. Kasi ginawa ka na talagang ganyan eh. Nakaprogram na talaga na pangit ang mental health mo, so wala ka nang gagawin para maging maganda ang mental health mo. Victim framework yan. Sasabihin mo na lang, I am meant to be depressed. I am meant to be anxious. Hindi tama. Although emotions can be biological, meron ding role ang environment. So kung i-connect mo yan sa mental health mo, pwede mo ring matutunan kung paano maging maganda ang mental health mo. Yun. So yun yung good news. Kung ano man yung temperament mo, especially kapag hindi maganda yung temperament mo, pwedeng may room for improvement. Huwag natin laging biniblame yung genetics why we experience certain negative emotions. Kasi kahit anong experience mo ng negative emotions via your biology, laging may role ang environment. Pwede ka pang i-improve ng environment in experiencing that negative emotions. Kaya nga sa psychology, meron tayong konsepto ng emotional coaching. That's another application. Especially if you are a parent or if you are a guardian of a child, kung alam mo na pinanganak na medyo hindi maganda ang temper ng bata, dapat open ka na pwede ba siyang mag-improve via emotional coaching. Alright? So yun ang summary ng basics of human emotions. And all of these things, numbers 1, 2, and 3, i-connect natin yan sa adolescence. At mangyayari yan right now. Let's now move on to number 2. Let's now talk about adolescent experience of emotions. The thing is, para maintindihan natin how adolescents experience emotions, we have to go back to the idea of the adolescent body. I already discussed this in my previous lectures. Anong natatandaan nyo about the adolescent body? Number one, in connection to the brain, yung frontal lobe ng mga teenagers, hindi pa ganun ka-develop. Ano ang super active sa brain nila? Yung limbic system, specifically the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain. So what does that tell you? Ang mga teenagers, matataas ang emotions, mababa ang rationality. Kasi underdeveloped pa ang prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rationality, hyperactive naman ang amygdala, which is responsible for emotions. But let me just add one more biological factor to that. Other than the brain, ang isa pang may role sa emotional experience ng mga teenagers, hormones. Remember, during this time, meron silang raging hormones. When you look at the bloodstream of adolescents, talagang ang dami-dami mga hormones ang gumagapang dyan. Specifically, the sex hormones. And these sex hormones, in their bloodstream, may mga emotional effects sa kanila. Like what? For example, according to researchers, these raging hormones may explain why a lot of teenagers have emotional highs and lows. Kaya ang mga teenagers, yung meron silang common experience of drastic changes in their emotions na ma-magnify yung intensity ng emotions na nararamdaman nila. It's because of those raging hormones. Kaya if you can see here, meron ditong mic. Yan yung illustration ko. Whenever a teenager feels a certain emotion, i-intensify. Mai-intensify yung experience of that emotion. Diba ganun yung ginagawa ng mic? Ini-intensify niya yung mahinang boses. Ganun din sa emotions. Got that? Pag may na-feel na emotion yung teenager, whether negative or positive, mai-intensify yon. What does that? The raging hormones in their body. Meron akong magandang example dito. Halimbawa, let's talk about breakup, which is a very emotional experience. Ang isang adult, kapag naka-experience ng breakup, ilagay natin sa pain level yung breakup in a scale of 1 to 10, 10 the highest, 1 the lowest. Ang isang adult, kapag may adult brain ka, fully developed na yung prefrontal cortex mo, yung experience mo ng breakup, pain level 5. But the same breakup, kapag na-experience mo yan as an adolescent, magiging 10, madodoble, mai-intensify. Bakit naging 10 yung sakit ng breakup during adolescence? Raging hormones. Let me repeat, these hormones will intensify the experience of negative emotions. Got that? Masyadong malakas yung intensity ng negative emotions, underdeveloped pa yung prefrontal cortex mo, kaya karamihan ng mga teenagers, kapag nakaka-experience ng negative emotions, feeling nila, kinakain sila ng negative emotions nila. They become hyper reactive to the emotions that they feel. O kaya, you can only imagine the adolescent perspective when it comes to experiencing emotions, lalo na negative emotions. Look at the screen. Imagine niyo na feel niyo lahat ng emotions na yan, tapos i-intensify pa ng raging hormones nila. Kaya that explains why marami mga teenagers, quote-unquote, madadrama. Mabilis maiyak, mabilis mainis, mabilis magalit. Meron silang mga decisions na palpak. Kasi yung decisions nila, hindi nila binase sa logic, binase nila sa strong emotions nila. Unfortunately, marami sa mga decisions na yon nagkakaroon ng long-term negative effects sa buhay nila, such as teenage pregnancy, such as nagiging substance abuser sila. Diba? Kasi nga, kinakain sila ng buong-buo ng negative emotions nila due to the raging hormones in their bloodstreams. At sabi pa ng mga researchers, meron pala yung gender difference. Mas malakas daw ang intensity ng mga emotions na to kapag females. Kasi ang mga females, mas marami mga hormones yung nasa bloodstream nila, given the fact that they have menstrual cycles. So, mas maraming hormones ang involved, kaya mas wild yung experience nila of emotions compared to males. Kaya nung ginagawa ko tong lecture na to, in connection to how wild the emotional life of teenagers are, naalala ko yung storm and stress model ni G. Stanley Hall. Kaya pala ganyan yung pananaw ni Stanley Hall. Kaya pala ganyan yung na-observe niya sa mga teenagers. Kaya negative yung view ni Stanley Hall sa adolescence kasi yun yung nakikita niya sa mga teenagers. Kinakain sila ng buong buo ng emotions nila. Doon pala nanggagaling yung storm. Doon nanggagaling yung stress ng mga teenagers. They are unable to effectively handle this intensified negative emotions. Kaya in connection to that, anong application dito? Huwag natin sasabihan yung mga adolescents na OA sila or overacting. Kasi when they experience negative emotions, seemingly, sa perspective ng adults, parang OA, sa totoo lang hindi. Hindi nila mapigilan na maging OA. Hindi nila mapigilan yung intensity ng emotions nila, whether negative or positive. Kaya hindi sila nag-overacting, it's just the way they are at this point of their life. Raging hormones, immature brain, equals intensified emotions. So, wag natin silang i-judge na ine-exaggerate lang nila yung mga bagay-bagay kasi totoong masakit. Totoong sobrang nalulungkot sila. Totoong sobrang naiinis sila. So, imbis na tawagin natin silang OA, ang magandang gawin natin dyan, i-undergo natin sila ng emotional coaching. Pataasin natin yung emotional intelligence nila. At sino ang dapat gumagawa niyan? The guardians, the adults. Pwedeng si kuya, pwedeng si mami, si daddy, pwede rin makatulong yung mga teachers, lahat ng adults na nasa buhay ng isang teenager. Yan yung role, isa sa mga mahalagang role. Turuan sila na pataasin ng EQ para alam nila paano i-handle yung mga emotions na yan. Alright? Next, another issue under the adolescent experience of emotions would be self-esteem. Malaking bagay yan sa pagiging adolescent. Self-esteem is how much you like yourself. How do you feel about yourself? Gaano ka kahalaga sa tingin mo bilang tao, that's your self-esteem. So, ang mga tao or ang mga adolescents sa mataas ang self-esteem, most likely, they feel valuable. Feeling nila special sila, they're beautiful, they're unique, they are so loved. You get the point. That's what it means kapag mataas ang self-esteem mo. And studies show na ang self-esteem, mahalaga pala yan sa adolescents. It's very important that an adolescent should have a healthy level of self-esteem because it predicts the following variables. Ang mga teenagers na okay ang level of self-esteem, most likely become happier, they are very fulfilled in their life, they become resilient. Hindi sila basta-basta natutumba sa mga problema. Nakakabalik sila when they experience failure. Again, lahat yan nangyayari kapag maayos ang self-esteem ng isang teenager. And the reverse is true. Those adolescents with low levels of self-esteem, baliktarin mo lang yan. Sila yung prone sa depression, sila yung prone sa unfulfillment, sila yung prone sa giving up in their everyday life. Wala silang resilience. Okay? And according to studies, may gender difference pa pala yan when it comes to self-esteem. Sa tingin nyo, among the sexes, sino ang mas nanganganib ang self-esteem during adolescence? According to studies, ang pattern, laging mas mababa ang self-esteem ng mga babae kumpara sa mga lalaki, especially during early adolescence, age 13 to 15 years old. Alright? Ang tanong, bakit? Ano ang explanatory factor bakit ang mga kababaihan in general mababa ang self-esteem kumpara sa mga lalaki? It has something to do with body image, which I lectured in my previous lessons. Ano ibig sabihin ng body image? Gaano mo kagusto yung katawan na meron ka? O ngayon, i-connect mo yan sa self-esteem, specifically during early adolescence. 'Di ba? Ano nangyayari? During early adolescence, yung sex hormones natin tumataas. Our gonads begin to release sex hormones, testosterone for boys and estrogen for girls. And these sex hormones nagdadala ng pagbabago sa katawan natin. Ngayon, kapag ang katawan ng isang adolescent nagbago na, iba kasi yung pattern ng pagbabago between males and females. Sa mga females, yung high levels of estrogen, ano ang effect sa katawan? Tumataas yung body fat. Sa mga lalaki naman, kapag tumataas ang testosterone in the bloodstream, lumalaki ang muscles. We become more muscular. O, dito pa lang makikita nyo na yung reason bakit mas mababa ang self-esteem ng mga babae kumpara sa mga lalaki. Kasi pagpasok nila ng early adolescence, ang mga babae most likely would increase their weight. Tumataba sila as a natural consequence of having high levels of estrogen. Ang mga lalaki, habang tumataas ang testosterone, mas nagiging muscular. Sa society natin, hindi ganun kaganda ang tingin natin sa mga mataas ang fat level. 'Di ba? Kumpara sa muscle. Sa society natin, very positive ang image ng isang taong muscular. Mas hindi maganda ang image kapag ang katawan mo mataas ang levels of fat. So between males and females, sino ang mas mataas ang tendency na mataas ang fat? Di mga babae. Kaya maraming mga females during this time, early adolescence, talagang nanganganib ang self-esteem nila. They don't feel they are valuable. Compared to guys. Ang mga guys kasi nagiging muscular Kumbaga mas pabor sa mga lalaki yung physical changes that we experience compared to the physical experience or the physical changes being experienced by the females. Add to that, di dumadami yung fat levels ng mga babae, idagdag mo pa dyan sa society natin, talagang pinopromote. Iba ang definition ng beauty. Beauty is defined as something physical. Specifically, low levels of body fat. Diba? Ganyan ang definition ng beauty in almost all society. Sino maganda? Yung payat. Yung mababa ang body fat. Yun nga yung problema sa isang adolescent female. Natural consequence yun ng estrogen niya, tumataas yung level of body fat niya. So kapag kinumpara niya yung katawan niya sa mga models, sa mga artista, sa mga celebrity icons ng kultura niya, nafe-feel bad siya. Ang layo ng katawan niya sa katawan ng mga babae na kinoconsider na maganda ng society niya. Kaya nga in connection to this, this explains why eating disorders are more prominent. Eating disorders are more common among females than males because of that cultural pressure on how to have a thinner body. Sa lalaki kasi walang ganyang pressure Pero sa mga babae, yan. Marami kang fats, hindi ka katulad ng katawan na yan, hindi ka maganda. So, bumababa ang self-esteem ng mga females, ang coping mechanism nila, hindi na lang sila kakain. Mag-over-exercise, maya-maya, bulimia na. Nagigets nyo? Maya-maya, anorexic na. Yun, that explains. Yun yung explanation. Bakit laging mas threatened yung self-esteem ng mga females compared to males. Kaya nga, in connection to this, dito na naman papasok yung protective factor of spirituality. Makakatulong talaga kapag ang isang teenager mataas ang level of spirituality, masishield siya from these kinds of negative influences. In what way? Kasi sa Christian spirituality, ina-underemphasize yung physical beauty, ino-overemphasize naman yung spiritual beauty, which is a good thing. Because between the spiritual and the physical, mas kontrolado mo yung spiritual Mas kaya mong ayusin yon. And that's what is being emphasized in Christian spirituality. Such as the following passages. The Lord values what's at the heart. He does not value too much what's on the outside, the physical appearance. Sabi ni Peter, your beauty should not come from outward adornment. Huwag daw yung panglabas such as braided hair, or gold jewelry, or fine clothes. Ituloy mo sa verse 4. Ano raw dapat ang ini-emphasize mo when it comes to your worth? When it comes to your beauty, let your adorning be the hidden person of what? The heart. With the imperishable beauty of what? A gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. Kapag yan ang inabsorb ng isang teenager, ano mangyayari? Hindi siya masyadong mape-pressure ng society into making her body this thin. Para sa kanya, hindi magiging masyadong mahalaga yan. Kasi yung i-emphasize niya, ang ipaprioritize niya, yung spiritual beauty niya, kasi yun yung tinuro ng spirituality niya. Diba? Which is, mas maganda. Mas madaling makontrol ang quality of your spirituality or your spiritual condition than the quality of your body. Kaya nga, in connection to this, this is the reason why I am against beauty pageants, especially pageants being held in schools. Marami mga eskwelahan kasi ganyan, merong mga events na nagpapa-beauty pageant ng mga females nila. Now, don't get me wrong, hindi ko naman sinasabing totally walang positive thing na nangyayari. Kapag ang adolescent sumama sa isang beauty pageant, of course, meron din. Natututo sila ng competition, 'di ba? Nakakamit sila ng mga new friends. They learn how to handle pressures of competition. But for me, these things are outweighed by the negative psychological thing that happens to them when they experience beauty pageant, which is what? The way they define beauty becomes so flawed. Saka kasama nila sa mga beauty pageants na yan, nagkakaroon ngayon sila ng framework na ang kagandahan ng tao, na ang worth ng tao, lalong-lalo na sa mga kababaihan, nakadepende yan saan? Nakadepende yan sa ganda ng katawan mo. Nakadepende yan kung ilan ang bumoto sa'yo. Nakadepende yan kung ilan ang nag-like, ilan ang pumuso sa social media post mo. Kasi may mga beauty pageants, merong social media factor yan eh. Diyan sila bumuboto, yung mga tao. Nagiging isa yan sa mga basis kung sino mananalo sa mga pageants na yan. Diba? And for me, that is a very unhealthy view of womanhood. Nangyayari, marami mga kabataan ngayon na babae, yan ang pananaw. Yung worth ko bilang babae, depende yan kung ilang tao ang gusto sa katawan ko. Ilan ang nagagandahan sa katawan ko. Gets nyo? Kaya ako personally, hindi ako agree na ang mga schools nagkakaroon ng mga ganyang beauty pageant. Sa tingin ko, mas maganda yung mga eskwelahan, imbis na ganyan yung mga ginagawa, turuan na lang nila ng spiritual teachings yung mga young people and connect that to the concept of beauty. True beauty is what's inside, not how attractive your body is. Nagigets nyo? Kasi kapag ganyan ang tinuro ng mga eskwelahan, ang worth mo, base yan sa ganda ng katawan mo, we are setting them up to fail. We are setting them up for a number of mental health issues later on, lalong-lalo na kapag nakita nila na laging may mas maganda sa kanila, mas may pogi sa kanila. Later on in adulthood, lalo silang mafe-feel bad kapag nakita nila na yung katawan nila tumatanda. Yan, we will also talk about that body image in relation to young adulthood, middle adulthood, and even in old age. Other self-esteem factors. Ito yung mga factors sa pinanggagalingan, Ito yung mga nagde-determine whether ang self-esteem ng teenager tataas or bababa according to Harter, 1993. Number 1, skills and capabilities they consider important. Mahalaga sa self-esteem nila yan. Kailangan ma-feel nila that they are being valued by a group that they consider important. Halimbawa, yung mga athletes na teenager, dapat ma-feel nila na yung mga teammates nila, na yung mga coaches niya, mahal siya. Binibigyan siya ng worth, ng halaga. Yan, mahalaga yan. What else? School achievement is another source of self-esteem. Diba? Studies show na ang mga teenagers na feeling nila, hindi sila binavalue ng mga tao sa eskwelahan, such as their classmates, their teachers, the administration, most likely, they drop out of school. At pag drop out ng mga yan, saan pupunta yan? Related yan magme-member na lang ng mga gangs. Kasi yung mga gangs, doon nila na feel yung worth nila. And that is so sad. Yung eskwelahan, na dapat doon nang gagaling yung worth, doon nila na feel yung value nila, nakukuha nila sa gang membership. Kaya marami ding mga teenagers, because of that problem, hindi maganda yung school environment, sumasama sa mga fraternities, sumasama sa mga gangs on the streets, which endanger their lives. Kasi yung gang lang yung nakakabigay ng worth na gusto sana nilang makuha. Diba? What else? Family cohesion. That's very important. Ang mga teenagers na magugulo ang pamilya, laging nag-aaway si nanay at si tatay, laging nag-aaway yung mga magkakapatid, puro na lang bitterness inside the homes. Sila yung mga teenagers na mabababa ang self-esteem. And number 4, peer acceptance. Mahalaga rin yan. Na dapat ma-feel ng isang teenager na yung mga kaibigan niya, yung mga kinukonsider niyang kaibigan niya, mahal siya. Pinapahalagahan siya. Yon. Kaya given this self-esteem factors, ano yung mga pwede nating interventions na pwedeng gamitin to help teenagers have better self-esteem? Number 1, kaya mahalaga ang aptitude tests sa mga adolescents. At ang nagbibigay niyan, mga guidance counselors. Kasi yung mga aptitude test na yan, matutulungan yung adolescent na ma-identify kung ano yung mga skills, ano yung mga capabilities na kaya niyang gawin. Kapag nakita niya kasi yung mga bagay na magagaling siya, tataas yung worth niya. Kasi alam niya kung ano yung worth niya. Alam niya ito yung kaya niyang gawin. It contributes to self-esteem, and aptitude tests can help these teenagers identify that. Na in connection to number 2, school achievement, kaya dapat, in general, ang isang teenager may positive experience sa eskwelahan. Kaya dapat ang mga eskwelahan meron talagang mga efforts, no, on how to provide positive experiences among their students or to their students. Kaya dapat merong serious na special mention to bullying. Meron talagang hardcore na policy ang eskwelahan na against dapat sila sa bullying. Kasi yung bullying na yan, isa yan sa mga reasons Isa yan sa mga common reasons bakit pangit ang experience, pangit ang concept ng teenager sa school. Na-associate nila yung school sa bullying. Ayoko na pumasok kasi binubully lang ako dyan. So, ano mangyayari? Hahanap ngayon siya ng mga kasama na gagantihan yung nambubuli sa kanya. Saan niya mahahanap yan? Sa gang membership. Ayun na, di ba? Kaya dapat yung eskwelahan, yung administration ng eskwelahan, kumilos dyan. Alright? In connection to number 3, dito mahalaga yung emotional stability of the parents. Kaya sabi ko, hindi basta-basta ang pagiging magulang. Isa sa mga requirements before you can be good parents is you are emotionally mature. Kapag emotionally mature si nanay, emotionally mature si tatay, nagiging maganda yung samahan, loves na loves nila yung isa't isa, it affects the way they treat the teenager. Lagi malamig ulo nila, maganda yung pakikitungo nila sa teenager. Kung parehong immature yung parents, away si nanay, away si tatay, lagi mainit ang ulo ni nanay at tatay, nai-spill over yan doon sa teenager. So, lagi mainit ang ulo ng parent doon sa teenager, bumababa yung self-esteem niya. Diba? Kaya nakaka-contribute din talaga yung emotional stability of the parents. Kaya dapat pati parents emotional coaching because it affects the way they will treat their teenagers, which will affect the self-esteem of the adolescent. In connection to number 4, peer acceptance, ang magandang intervention dyan is, again, bata pa lang, bago pa pumunta ng adolescence, yung bata, dapat inasikaso na yung magandang EQ. Because remember, according to studies, ang magandang EQ, kapag maganda ang EQ ng isang bata, in connection to the school, nagiging maganda yung peer status niya. For those of you who forgot, ano bang ibig sabihin ng peer status? Ito yon. Merong 5 klase ng peer status. Gaano kagusto ng mga kaibigan mo in the school? So there are 5 possible peer statuses. Ayan. And according to studies, yung numbers 3 and 4, kapag ito yung naging peer status mo, as a student, grade 1 ka pa lang, neglected ka na. Grade 2 ka pa lang, rejected ka na, prone ka sa marami mga mental health risk factors. Ito yung mga mabilis ma-depress, ito yung mga maraming bitterness, ito yung mga hindi okay ang relationship with their classmates, laging pinapatawag yung parents nila sa eskwelahan kasi lagi silang inaaway or sila yung nangaaway. Kasi nga, yun yung peer status nila, numbers 3 and 4. And what predicts that? Bakit naging ganyan yung kanilang peer status? Going back, hindi kasi maganda yung EQ. So kung gusto mong maging maganda yung peer status ng bata, dapat nasa popular or average siya, dapat maayos yung EQ niya. Marunong siyang makitungo sa ibang mga tao. Yun. So, mahalaga talaga yung emotional coaching na yan. Again, even before adolescence. Now, just to close our discussion on self-esteem, let me just end this with a very brief reminder na ang pagpapaganda, ang pagpapa-okay ng self-esteem ng isang tao, it starts earlier. Hindi yung kung kailan siya naging adolescent, dun mo palang aayusin yung self-esteem niya, that's already pretty late. Question, how early? Infancy pa lang. I remember the study by Ainsworth. I remember the study by John Bowlby. Yun yung conclusions nila. How you treat your babies, it's already shaping their self-esteem. If you remember, di ba, in that study, nahati nila sa 2 grupo yung mga babies in connection to how they are being treated by their parents. May mga babies na securely attached, may mga babies na insecurely attached. Ano pinagkaiba nila? Babies who are securely attached, most likely, because they are being treated well by their parents, sila yung healthy ang self-esteem. Yung mga insecurely attached, feeling nila hindi sila binavalue ng parents nila, ano nangyayari? Bumababa yung self-esteem nila. 'Di ba? At ito yung amazing sa study na to, no? Yung level of self-esteem nila during infancy will affect their future behaviors when they enter different stages in the lifespan. Like for example, saan? Adolescence. To be more specific, according to studies, yung mga babies na securely attached during infancy, by the time they enter adolescence, again ito yung mga magaganda ang self-esteem. During infancy, generally positive ang nangyayari sa kanila during adolescence. Maganda yung school success nila, marami silang accomplishments, maganda yung body image nila, they love themselves, they become less prone to psychological disorders, and they end up having healthy social relationships. So, nagiging maganda yung peer status nila. Saan mo ititrace yan? Bakit sila ganyan? Their self-esteem during infancy. On the other hand, yung mga babies naman na insecurely attached, hindi maayos ang mga self-esteem, mabababa, fast forward when they enter adolescence, maraming mga negative things that happen to them. Prone sila sa psychological disorders, lalong-lalo na depression. Meron silang high suicide rate. Meron silang mga trust issues. Anong connection ni Erik Erikson dyan? If you remember Erik Erikson, ano ang first developmental stage? Ano ang first developmental task? Trust versus mistrust. Dahil insecurely attached sila sa mga parents nila, going back, eto sila, ano ngayon ang task na na-accomplish nila? Nandoon sila sa mistrust. They begin to think that people cannot be trusted. Kasi parents ko pa nga lang, parents ko na to hindi ko mapagkatiwalaan na i-value ako, ano pa kaya yung ibang tao? Yun na. Kaya napunta sila sa mistrust. And in connection to that, that also explains why, according to studies, yung mga teenagers who were insecurely attached as infants, mas mataas ang chance that they commit premarital sex, which, again, will threaten their development kasi baka mag-undergo sila ng early pregnancy or teenage pregnancy. Ang tanong, anong kinalaman ng premarital sex sa pagiging insecurely attached nila? Kasi, ang Freudian explanation dyan, paglaki nila, binabawi nila yung affection, yung worth na hindi nila nakuha from their parents. And they look for this, where? From their partner. Yun na. So, can you imagine, ito yung baby na insecurely attached, fast forward, babawi yan. Hahanap yan ng jowa. So, yung jowa niya, dyan niya ngayon kukunin yung lahat ng affections, lahat ng pagmamahal na hindi niya nakuha from her parents. Yung boyfriend niya, manipulative, napansin na ganyan. Natatakot ito, natathreaten ito kapag tinetreat ko siya, naiiwan ko siya. So, ima-manipulate ngayon siya, itong babae. Diba? Kung ayaw mong iwan kita, gawin mo to, gawin mo yan. Kung ayaw mong iwan kita, bigay mo yung buong sarili mo sa akin, yun na. Nag-premarital sex na, they become prone to teenage pregnancy. Kaya kawawa talaga yung mga bata na insecurely attached, they become manipulated by people like this, and in a way, wala rin naman silang magawa because psychologically speaking, naghahanap nga sila ng compensation for the deprivation that they experienced when they were younger. Okay, kaya ito, i-connect rin natin to sa study ng CDC. This is also the reason why ang isa sa mga factor kung bakit nagkakaroon ng adolescent suicide, which is not good, is breakup. Pero may moderating variable to, breakup leading to suicides becomes especially true or more common among adolescents with low levels of self-esteem. Kasi hindi nila malaman yung gagawin nila. Siya na nga lang yung source ng self-esteem niya. Tapos brinake pa siya, nagsawa na sa kanya. So ano ngayon mangyayari? Lalo ngayon madidiin sa kanya yung low self-esteem niya. Low self-esteem na nga ako nung dati. Hanggang ngayon ba naman, low self-esteem pa rin ako? Yung mga parents ko nga, hindi na ako vinalue. Hanggang ngayon ba naman, yung ex ko, hindi pa rin ako vinalue? Yun na. Nara-rub off sa kanila yan, na-i-intensify yung pain. Remember the raging hormones a while ago in my lecture. Ano nangyayari? Nagiging prone sila na mag-isip that they want to kill themselves. Leads to adolescent suicide. At isa yan sa mga top reason why an adolescent would die during this life life period. Adolescent suicide. Alright? Kaya again, ang solution dito, turuan mo tong batang to, itong teenager na to, how to handle breakups. Or, para hindi siya maging ganyan ka-attach sa mga tao na hindi naman dapat ganyan katindi yung attachment niya, bata pa lang. Tinuruan mo na siya kung paano siya magkaroon ng sarili niyang worth. Hindi yung worth niya inaasa niya sa ibang tao. And that involves working on self-esteem of this person during her younger years pa lang. Hindi yung kung kailan siya nag-13, dun mo pa lang siya tuturuan ng self-esteem. Alright? So that ends our discussion on self-esteem, lalong-lalo na in connection to emotional development in adolescence. If you have any questions or some other examples, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa baba. Sana marami kayo natutunan sa DebPsych, specifically during adolescence, yung kanilang emotional development. Sir Howard here, until the next lecture. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.